What's up, guys? So time to show off some more CDs. So I'm still in Blur, so here's their self-titled. This is probably their most rockin' album. Kind of did a little bit more of a American sounding, almost grungy type thing. One of their most popular songs on here is one of their most popular songs is on here, Song 2. Words are just kind of hard for me to say sometimes. My old band used to cover Song 2. If you're familiar with it, as kind of like a shitty, clean guitar sounding chorus, obviously I got this used, and the previous owner put tickets behind it, and I thought that was kind of cool, so I kept them. Anyway, as a shitty, clean guitar during the verses, and then like this huge, if I'm gonna be honest, kind of equally shitty sounding distorted guitar during the choruses, and just to kind of fuck around, I used to like do the opposite. I do distorted guitars during the verses and clean guitar during the chorus, but got a looks like a studio picture, or a few studio pictures in here, and here's a look at the full art on the back. Next up, we have one of my favorite albums, 13. At least favorite albums from Blur, I should say. Their later albums, they got a little bit more experimental and unique sounds. That's kind of what appeals to me about their last few albums. Well, they're back together. Did they ever record a new album? I can't remember, but either way, they've had a few different reunions. Here's the artwork. So, interesting thing about the cover for this, it was actually painted by their guitarist, Graham Coxon. I feel like it's been a while since I've opened this, because I'm just feeling really impressed by the look of this art. Rather like it. I feel like, you know, if I looked at it more regularly, I wouldn't be as blown away about it, but yeah, I just really like this art. And then their next one, honestly, I think this might just be my favorite, which is kind of a controversial thing because I don't think this is a particularly popular album, but I fucking love it. Think Tank. So this is a very interesting album because it's their one album. I think Graham Coxon may have been able to like write or possibly record a couple guitar parts, but he's largely absent from this album, and I think that's honestly kind of why it's such a great album. I mean, I'd say he heavily defined all their previous albums. You know, like, you know, you take them away, I kind of feel like they had to push themselves, had to really get out of the box. And that's just what makes this such a fucking great album. And of course, you know, in their future reunions, Graham was back with the band again, so that's good. But, you know, I think it was honestly kind of great that they were able to get at least one album out without him. And as a PA, I believe for some drug references, honestly the lyrics aren't too crazy. There's all the art stuff. I rather like this image on the back too. It has kind of a spray paint look to it. And if you know me, I like spray paint art, because I used to at least try to do spray paint art. I was never very good at it though. And that is the end of my Blur collection. And now we are getting into my David Bowie collection. The first album that I have from David Bowie is, of course, The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders of Mars. Very classic album, probably the best album to start off with. I would like to get some of his earlier work, really just in general. I like to get more David Bowie. Probably the main older album of his from this era that I don't have. I think it came before Ziggy Stardust, but I'd really like to get Man Who Sold the World. Look at the booklet. Photography, lyrics. Can't remember if I had any sort of S in it. David Bowie. This is a pretty iconic photograph here of David Bowie giving a blow job to guitar. Now, take a pretty significant jump ahead. Got David Bowie's Low. This is a pretty solid album as well. More experimental and instrumental heavy. I really like the song Warzawa, I think is how it's pronounced. I believe it was named after a city in Germany, but really cool instrumental track. And get this back together. Next up, another pretty significant jump ahead. In my opinion, one of his more underrated albums. We have Earthling. It's kind of more electronic heavy. I do rather like the disc art on this one. Back of it. Pretty good sized insert here. Next up, only Johnny Cash album that I have, but in my opinion, it's one of the best live albums out there. We got Johnny Cash's At Folsom Prison. Disc in the back of it, and obviously it's gonna be mostly pictures of Johnny Cash at Folsom Prison. Lyrics and stuff. Yeah, I was gonna say, I was pretty sure there was some sort of essay in there. Next up we have, from the Chariot, Everything is Live, Everything is Breathing, Nothing is Dead, and Nothing is Bleeding. Not their best album. This is, you know, a lot more aggressive and unpolished. Kind of see a thank you list in there. Lyrics insert. Then next we have Unsung EP. I honestly really like the packaging on this album. I like how it just kind of makes the most of very little. I mean, you can even see a few like small pieces of art on there. I don't know, I just really like it. So this is, I believe it was like 2 new songs and a bunch of alternate tracks, you know, songs from their previous album and then songs from their future album, but different versions of them. And honestly, I think everything on here is better than the versions that were on their other albums. That's just me. So, I mean, what you see is pretty much what you get with this. I believe this is the, kind of see in their first occurrence of their logo skull. And obviously, like I said, this is mostly alternate version, so they didn't bother with all the lyrics, but they have some of the new track lyrics just printed on here. There's the back. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and admit it now. I'm kind of tempted to throw in one more album, but I'm not. I'm going to save that for later. So, yeah, I'll be continuing with my Chariot collection in my next video, and I will see you then.